Last lesson, we drew the line, chatbot versus agent. Today we meet the agent this course is about. OpenCode. By the end of this lesson, you will know what OpenCode is, where it lives, what makes it different from ChatGPT or Copilot, and why we picked it as the agent for this course. We will not install it yet, that comes in Phase C. Today is about understanding the shape of the tool. So what is OpenCode? It is an open source AI coding agent. It runs in your terminal, not in a browser. It talks to any model you choose, Claude, GPT, Gemini, or a model running locally on your laptop. It can read your files, edit them, run shell commands on your behalf. And it ships with free models built in, so you can start without paying anyone a subscription. Where does OpenCode live? 3 places. The TUI, the Terminal User Interface, which is what we will use throughout this course. An IDE extension for Versus Code and JetBrains editors. And a desktop app for Mac, Windows, and Linux. All 3 are the same agent under the hood. The differences are just the surface. We will use the TUI because it works on every computer, costs nothing, and gets out of the way. Open source, what does that actually mean? The code is on GitHub. Anyone can read it. Anyone can suggest changes. It is free to use, personally and commercially, with no license fee. There are around 900 contributors and over 160,000 GitHub stars, which makes OpenCode one of the most popular open source AI tools in the world. Open source also means you can audit what it does. No hidden behavior. A short history. OpenCode launched in 2024, effectively a rebrand and rebuild of an earlier tool from the same company. The open source community formed within months. Within a year, it had over 100,000 GitHub stars and was one of the most popular agents in the category. The pace of development is fast, new versions every few weeks, new features added regularly. Why does open source matter for an AI agent specifically? Because the agent touches your files and runs commands on your machine. With OpenCode, you can read exactly what it does. You can verify it doesn't upload your code anywhere you don't want. Community members catch bugs faster than any single company could. And if anomaly disappeared tomorrow, the code lives on, the community could fork and continue. That safety matters when you're trusting a tool with real work. Open source. Free to use. Free to read. No hidden behavior. Who makes OpenCode? A company called Anomaly, plus a large open source community of contributors. It is used by millions of developers every month. Anomaly makes money when you connect OpenCode to their hosted Zen service, which is convenient, but optional. You can use OpenCode entirely without paying Anomaly anything, by connecting your own provider accounts. Privacy is built into OpenCode's design. It does not upload your project to anywhere. It sends only the prompts and context you choose to send, and what gets sent goes to your model provider, not to OpenCode itself. So if you use Claude, Anthropic sees your prompts. If you use GPT, OpenAI sees your prompts. If you run a local model, nothing leaves your machine at all. You decide. OpenCode works with any model you bring. Claude, from Anthropic. GPT, from OpenAI. Gemini, from Google. Local models, via Ollama or LM Studio. Plus dozens of others through a registry called models.dev. You pick a model from a menu, paste a key, and OpenCode uses it. Switch models mid-session if you want. Compare answers across models. You are never locked into one vendor. Bring any model. Switch anytime. Never locked in. Here is something important. OpenCode ships with several free models in its Zen picker. They are enough to follow along with this entire course, end to end. No credit card required to start. Paid models are an upgrade, sometimes smarter, sometimes faster, sometimes with bigger context windows. But they are never a requirement. We will cover this in detail later. For now, free is enough. How does OpenCode compare to ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a browser chat, no hands, cannot touch your files. OpenCode is a terminal agent, has hands, can touch your files. ChatGPT only works with OpenAI models. OpenCode works with any model from any provider. ChatGPT is closed source. OpenCode is open source. Different categories of tool, even though they both use LLMs under the hood. Now compare OpenCode to GitHub Copilot. Copilot suggests, inside your editor. OpenCode acts, in your terminal. Copilot autocompletes one line or one function at a time. OpenCode completes whole tasks, across many files, with many steps, while you watch or while you do something else. Copilot is an assistant. OpenCode is an agent. We covered that distinction last lesson. Assistant versus agent. Copilot suggests, OpenCode acts. Quick honesty check, what OpenCode is not. It is not a code editor. Use Versus Code or your preferred editor for editing. OpenCode complements your editor, it does not replace it. It is not a chatbot, chatbots have no hands. It is not general AI, it is narrow, coding focused, but very capable within that focus. And it is not magic. Same hallucinations as any LLM. The grounding techniques we covered in Phase A still apply. Why did we pick OpenCode for this course? 4 reasons. Free first, the entire course can be followed on free models. Open source, no vendor lock-in for the viewer. Runs anywhere, Mac, Windows, Linux, all supported. And it is powerful enough for real work, while simple enough for absolute beginners to learn. That combination is rare. For context, here are other agents in the same category. Claude Code is Anthropic's terminal agent, works only with Claude models. Cursor is a code editor with an agent built in, closed source, but the editing experience is excellent. GitHub Copilot Workspace is GitHub's agent, tightly integrated with their platform. Aider is another open source agent, similar in spirit to OpenCode. Same category. Different trade-offs. Worth knowing the landscape even if you pick OpenCode. What will you actually do with OpenCode, day to day? Ask it to explain how a piece of code works. Ask it to write a new feature in a project. Find and fix bugs. Refactor and clean up code that's grown messy. Write tests, documentation, commit messages. Almost any coding task you can describe in English, OpenCode can either do or help you do. That's the practical promise. If you remember one idea from this lesson, OpenCode is an open source AI coding agent that runs in your terminal. It works with any model, including free ones. And it has hands, it can read your files, edit them, and run shell commands. That is what makes it different from every chatbot you have used before. That is what we will learn to drive, across the rest of this course. OpenCode is an agent on your machine. With hands. Quick recap. OpenCode is an open source AI coding agent. It runs in your terminal, not in a browser. It works with any model from any provider, including free ones. It has hands, it reads files, edits files, runs shell commands. And it is a different category of tool from ChatGPT or Copilot, even though all three use LLMs. Here is a small exercise. Visit opencode.ai, browse the docs for 5 minutes. Read what models are supported. Notice what the TUI looks like in the screenshots. We will install OpenCode together in Phase C for now, just look around and get a feel for what you are about to use. Coming up next, how to talk to OpenCode. We have established what OpenCode is. Now we learn how to prompt it well. Across the next 4 lessons, we cover the basics of a good prompt, role-playing, one-shot and few-shot prompting, and the interview me pattern. Then we move into memory, skills, and /commands. By the end of Phase B, you will understand OpenCode conceptually, ready to install in Phase C. OpenCode, an agent with hands. The rest of the course teaches you to drive it. Thanks for spending this time with me. Next, we learn how to talk to an agent, the basics of a good prompt.